North Korea has a long history of empty threats, but also a history of action. The new leader Kim Jong-un is only 30 years old, and many countries doubt his ability to lead. In fact, there are doubts about him even inside North Korea. So the best way for Kim Jong-un to demonstrate his authority is by orchestrating an international crisis with some of the larger countries, and from there start negotiations and then finally walk away with new benefits. Of course, this strategy has its limits, and although they seem crazy and unpredictable, Pyongyang has been very careful not to step out of line. But for argument's sake, what if North Korea became desperate enough and a war actually broke out? Nobody can actually predict how a military confrontation goes down. There are many what-ifs and alternative ways it can unfold. And even though it's an unlikely scenario, we will consider a basic simulation of a conventional war between North Korea against South Korea and the United States. Okay, so first of all, the primary goal of North Korea is not to actually invade the South, but rather the preservation of its government. In fact, Pyongyang does not have the capability to invade Seoul. Its second goal is to reinforce Kim Jong-un's authority. This could be achieved by political benefits from the negotiations, such as a real peace treaty and the recognition of North Korea by the United States, Japan, and South Korea. But to achieve these goals, the North Koreans will want to demand a ceasefire from all the players, and they would have to get this done before the US Air Force inflicts overwhelming damage on the North Koreans. So the deadline for North Korea is only a few days. Basically, what the North will want is a short war with a rapid ceasefire. Now, for a quick ceasefire, Pyongyang would have to come up with something so devastating that everyone would accept a truce. The most likely scenario is that North Korean artillery bombards Seoul, the capital of South Korea. Of course, the US Air Force would devastate North Korean artillery, but in the meantime, Seoul would be severely damaged, and that's something that South Korea would not tolerate. So therefore, the North Koreans are confident that the South Koreans would demand a ceasefire, and thereby bringing the US along with it in its demands. The negotiations would involve both the Korean states, the United States, Japan, China, and Russia. And from here on, the North Koreans would be in a position to demand compensation that the South Koreans would be willing to pay in order to save their capital. This is the North Korean strategy, but it obviously has many risks. For starters, this strategy is no secret, and many intelligence agencies are well aware of it. Another risk is that the South Koreans may actually endure the destruction of their capital and not agree to a ceasefire, but instead focus on taking down the North Koreans for once and for all. This seems actually plausible, considering the alternative is to continue living under North Korean threats. Another problem is the reliability of the North Korean artillery. It could prove ineffective, and does North Korea have enough ammunition? A war in the Korean peninsula is unlikely to happen, and if it did, a military confrontation is difficult to predict. Let us know what you think might happen. This was a Caspian report by me, Shirvan. Thank you for watching, and Sağ ol.